The 25th anniversary of Doctor Who brought with it some of the best episodes of the Sylvester McCoy era, as well as a few that were just okay. Remembrance of the Daleks is widely considered the best McCoy story, and honestly, it's a fantastic Dalek episode, one that revitalized them as a credible threat while weaving in the show's own history. Silver Nemesis, while not the greatest Cybermen story ever, holds a special place for me as one of the first Cybermen stories I ever saw. It has its flaws, but I still enjoy it. Then there's The Happiness Patrol, a deliciously satirical takedown of authoritarianism, featuring the unforgettable Bertie Bassett look-alike villain. But today we're focusing on something truly unique, one of the strangest, most symbolic episodes Doctor Who has ever produced. Welcome to the Snake Pit, where we're full of bile and venom. I'm your host, Snake Damon, and today we're looking at the greatest show in the galaxy, a story that isn't just a surreal Doctor Who adventure, but also a biting meta-commentary on the show itself. The Seventh Doctor and Ace are invited to the Psychic Circus on Segonax, but upon arrival they find the place eerily empty. Only a handful of performers remain, along with the mysterious ringmaster, Morgana the fortune-teller, and a single audience, a strangely emotionless family of three, a father, mother and daughter. The Doctor and Ace quickly learn that all visitors are expected to perform, and those who fail to entertain are promptly annihilated. Escape is nearly impossible. The chief clown, a chillingly sinister figure, commands an army of mechanical clowns that patrol the wastelands, ensuring no one leaves. One attempted escapee, Flower Child, meets a gruesome end at the hands of a robot bus conductor. The Doctor and Ace find one of Flower Child's earrings, and Ace keeps it as a token, something that later draws the chief clown's attention. Meanwhile, they meet Captain Cook, an insufferable, self-important explorer, and Mags, his reluctant companion, who hides a dark secret. The Doctor uncovers the circus's true horror. Performers are being sacrificed to an unseen power. Eventually, it is revealed that the emotionless audience members are actually the Gods of Ragnarok, ancient beings that demand constant entertainment and mercilessly destroy those who fail to amuse them. With the circus collapsing around them, the Doctor takes the stage for his most dangerous performance yet, outwitting the gods themselves. As Ace and her allies work to reclaim the Psychic Circus, the Doctor turns the gods' power against them, trapping them within their own realm. As the Big Top crumbles, Mags and Kingpin decide to rebuild the circus elsewhere, leaving the Doctor and Ace to continue their journey. On the surface, the greatest show in the galaxy is an eerie, offbeat adventure. But beneath the surface, it's a scathing critique of Doctor Who itself, especially during this era. The Psychic Circus represents the show as a whole, struggling to keep an audience entertained while its performers, writers, directors and actors try to make the best of increasingly difficult circumstances. By this point in the 1980s, Doctor Who was facing dwindling viewership, relentless criticism, and an uphill battle to stay relevant. The Gods of Ragnarok symbolize both the audience and critics alike. They sit in judgment, demanding constant entertainment, and when the show doesn't live up to their expectations, they tear it apart. They represent the impossible task of satisfying everyone, long-time fans, casual viewers, and critics who often wanted conflicting things from the series. The food vendor represents those who never actually watched the show but still felt the need to pass judgment on it. She dismisses all those who visit the Psychic Circus as weirdos, much like the real-world attitude towards Doctor Who fans at the time. The show's declining reputation meant that even those unfamiliar with it felt comfortable branding it as silly, outdated, or niche. The various visitors to the circus who desperately try to entertain are the devoted fans, people who love the show and are willing to participate no matter how flawed or campy it may be. Mags, the werewolf from Vulpana, represents Doctor Who's classic monsters. Much like the Daleks, Cybermen or the Master, she's the kind of recurring surprise that audiences latch onto, the familiar face that spikes ratings regardless of the story's overall quality. The Ringmaster and his crew reflect John Nathan Turner and his production team trying to keep Doctor Who alive despite constant external pressures. No matter how much effort they put in, they're at the mercy of outside forces who ultimately determine their fate. It's no coincidence that this episode was made under difficult conditions. When the BBC ordered a halt to studio recordings due to asbestos concerns, this episode, originally planned for studio filming, was instead shot in a circus tent. The irony of the greatest show in the galaxy being filmed in a literal circus tent while commenting on the show's precarious state only adds to its significance. It's almost too fitting that the greatest show in the galaxy features the Gods of Ragnarok, the gods of the end of days. Given the timing of the episode's broadcast, it's almost as if the gods themselves had their say. The episode aired in 1988, and while the Doctor and Ace were battling cosmic forces, the production team was already deep into preparations for what would unknowingly be Doctor Who's final season. As Doctor Who hurtled toward cancellation, the Gods of Ragnarok, hungry for constant entertainment and ultimately responsible for destroying those who fail to amuse them, mirror the real-world fate of the show. The BBC had already made the decision to focus on filming the last season of classic Doctor Who amid growing uncertainty about its future. It's as if the show was given its death sentence by an invisible hand, one that had grown weary of the performance and was preparing to tear it down, regardless of the efforts of those involved. Even the most devoted fans of the show were beginning to feel like they were part of a doomed circus, desperately trying to entertain an audience that had already made up its mind. The ironic twist here is that, while the Doctor and his companions fight to stop the Gods of Ragnarok from destroying everything, the show itself was already being torn down behind the scenes. The gods weren't just figures within the story. They were a reflection of the real-world pressures facing Doctor Who as it was being driven towards its own end. It's almost as if the gods themselves were prophesizing the end of the show. As the Doctor defies the gods' expectations and outwits them in the end, one can't help but wonder if, in a bizarre twist of fate, the show was allowed to go out on its own terms, or if it was just a matter of the show's creative forces clinging to their final moments, trying to put on one last great show before the curtain fell. This season marked a seismic shift in Doctor Who, one that would have carried over into the next. The greatest show in the galaxy wasn't just another episode. It signaled the beginning of a new era for the Doctor. Gone were the days of facing off against lesser villains and traditional baddies. By the end of this season, the Doctor would be going up against gods, angels, demons and witches, alongside his old nemesis, the Master. Had the show continued, who knows what fantastical beings the Doctor would have encountered next. With the tone of the greatest show in the galaxy hinting at cosmic forces beyond comprehension, the possibilities seemed endless. The show was heading towards something much grander, a sort of mythic storytelling that could have seen the Doctor battling forces on a scale previously unseen in the series. It could have been a season where the Doctor wasn't just saving the day. He would have been saving the very fabric of existence from gods and creatures of ancient power. But alas, the BBC pulled the plug just as the Doctor was poised to take on threats beyond the normal human scale. It leaves you wondering, if Doctor Who had been granted just one more season, what would the Doctor have faced next? Gods of the ancient world? The birth of new cosmic entities? The end of the universe itself? In hindsight, it's a tantalizing mystery. And it's this uncertainty that makes the greatest show in the galaxy feel all the more tragic. The show was just starting to evolve into something bigger, something epic, but we'll never know what could have been. While the greatest show in the galaxy might not be as famous as Remembrance of the Daleks, it's one of Doctor Who's boldest and most self-aware stories. It blends surreal horror, biting satire and meta-commentary in a way that few episodes dare. Sylvester McCoy's Doctor is in top form, blending whimsy with a manipulative edge, and Ace continues to prove why she's one of the best companions of the classic era. It's a fitting entry in Doctor Who's 25th anniversary season, A reminder that, despite all the challenges and criticisms, the show has always been about one thing: putting on the greatest show in the galaxy. Thanks for dropping by the Snake Pit, where we thrive on untapped potential and lost opportunities. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell like the video. And leave your opinions in the comments, where naturally I won't read them. Until next time, stay venomous.